In all the world there has never been, there is not, and there will never be any such thing as time. There's only place. What people call time is only place after place. Eternity is here already, and it has no mystery about it. Eternity is just another name for this endless scenery where we wander from one place to another. Gerald Murnane, Velvet Waters. Time is luck. Michael Mann. Prologue, The Hidden Core, 2098. The lightning curved inside the dark waters of the gecko's eyes as down below the mole wiped the shacked man's blood from his boot and looked up at the sky. The twin towers of rock curled and twisted into the cobalt and lightning-streaked sky. Angry lovers entwined were exactly as he dreamed them. The granite dusk moon, dripping down every rock edge, splashed down onto the sands, sweeping over the lizard who descended his perch. The mole was tired now, his flesh infused with ache, grit in his eyes, tongue glued to the back of his teeth. The dust cloud buzzed like injured bees. He had water, and now, thanks to the man he had just killed in the trade shack, he had an electric cattle prod, traded for a dried-out bat. And of course, he had his dreams. The dreams that had, against all odds and decency, led him here, to this dark desert and its violet sky. He catches sight of the silhouette of the lizard, about halfway down the towers now, static on a ledge. He sees significance in this creature, some form of portent. The dreams had arrived nightly since the mole was a young boy, but it was a very long time before the fragments formed images which formed pictures which gave instructions. He remembered awaking to his mother's silhouette in the fireplace, rocking back and forth, and felt always as if he had brought even more trauma upon her, more bad mojo by what was in his mind, as if she could see into his heart and knew the trouble that it would bring to them, to the entire family and those who surrounded them. He would always avoid her eyes in the morning, going straight out to fetch water for the village. His quest now to cross the outer lands and cross paths with the five masters along the way was an evolution in that psychic conversation. The mole considered for a while now that he had lost track of time, but now he considered that time had lost track of him. The gecko remained in place like a frozen shadow, and this, for the mole, just added to the meaning he could not interpret. He wandered through this desert on the edge of civilization, waiting for the doomsday clock to wind down and bury him in salt white sand. As a child, as he looked at the matricidal shadow, it was simple and linear. It moved swift as an arrow, but slowed down for his childish eyes. In later life, it seemed to happen all at once, as his philosophy deepened and his path widened. But now it seemed suspended, was in fact frozen, and had been for, well, how long? That was the point. Time had retreated and burrowed up into a defiant little chrysalis, suspended in an icy lake with only frozen fish for company. It spun its silky little thread in a microcosm, its movement barely perceptible, but its invisible tendrils stretched out into eternity dictated terms to the cosmos. Its oscillation occult, time had become the hidden core's shell. The longer the core hid, the more the nefarious ones could polish the surface, polish and obscure and deflect. And if the mole couldn't rise to the challenge of the masters and attain their wisdom, he would have no hope of stopping them, and he was told that he was the only hope. He left the weight of the shack behind him, out of sight but housing death, a skull cleaved almost in half. The mole found these bodies harder to leave behind now, and it's almost as if the ones who deserve to die the most are the hardest deaths to swallow. He had to call on words from the past for comfort. The same voices who told him he was the chosen one also told him that the hidden path grew in secret but would soon emerge. The lizard had moved. He scanned the ledge to find him. He was told a sign would show itself somewhere around this leg of the journey. The lightning shook the sky again, and now every jagged point of rock resembled a potential lizard or ant or neo-snake, and two images were superimposed upon one another. He tightened his grip around the instrument he knew only as a pain stick, moved his thumb up and down an inch across the metal barrel. The weapon was comforting. Even though the mole had been willing to die just days ago, the weapon was comforting. Did he dream all this long ago and all at once, as a child? His friend was by his boot now, nestling up to him like a cold-blooded puppy. Yes, the gecko was one with him. The gecko understood his journey, even though the gecko understood nothing at all.